market. They're not going to want evidence that for fraudulent clinical trials, which would eliminate their legal immunity. Okay, they don't want that. So part one, the Rockefellers, they're going to try to kill him. Part two, the warriors, the ones who are in favor of forever war. Okay, they're going to try to move the war from Ukraine and not stop it underground. They're going to stop the war above ground. And they're going to try to maintain all the theft and carpetbagging of properties in Western Ukraine. And they're going to try to move the war to the Middle East. Trump has already said he wants to declare war on Iran. He's already come close to dropping bombs in Tehran. At the last minute, he called it off. Okay, this is a very dangerous guy for war. Now, if he stops with a fit of conscience, and if Elon and Vivek succeed in cutting budgets, I think the military and the military contractors are going to try to kill him.
Well,
Okay?
that whole thing about what do they call it? Government efficiency, Department of Government Efficiency, Doge.
Yes, DOG,
Um,
government efficiency.
right. Soon after that, of course, Putin came out in an interview just last week saying exactly what you're saying now. They're going to try to kill Trump, and he's hearing from his
Yeah.
intelligence agencies that they're trying to kill him. So I'm trying to parse that together for the audience members. Does this move towards tariffing other countries as opposed to maybe backing the dollar with gold right now? Is that a tit for tat in this strategy of war with these three kind of angles that you've just described? Now, to be fair, during the campaign, at a campaign stop in New York at the barbershop, just was before the election, Trump was asked if we could go back to basically no income tax and go back to a tariff model for the United States. And Trump says, "Oh yeah, absolutely, that's possible." He did repeat that also afterwards in his interview with Joe Rogan. So this has been in the play for some time, but yet nobody knew or thought that he was actually going to go there first. They thought that he was going to go with this Bitcoin strategic reserve, maybe some gold backed reserve currency. But it appears that something happened here between the election day and where we are this weekend with this announcement that has really changed the strategy moving forward. What do you think that something is? Is it the death threats? Is it
That he
this?
won that he won the election.
Okay. Well, explain that.
You know,
Why?
he's not running for office anymore.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So he can now do what he had planned all along. And he didn't. Okay, they caught Biden in saying he wasn't going to pardon his son. Okay, they
Mhm.
caught him in a lie.
Right.
All right. Now, Trump said that he's going to do Nuremberg 2 trials. He's he's omitting that. If pressed, would he say we're not going to do it so that he'll be called on another campaign violation, a campaign lie? Okay, they're
Mhm.
not going to call him campaign lie. They're going to give him the break. Well, maybe he's planning to do it later. Okay, he did announce, I think it was last week, that he wants to eliminate the income tax, eliminate the property tax, and eliminate all taxes on homes sold and go with I think he said 10% sales tax, national sales tax. Okay, that's kind of like the European VAT, value added tax.
Yeah.
Um, it's not going to work. Okay. It sounds good and it's not going to work. It's kind of like the Germans saying we're going to go to all green energy and have a thriving economy. No, it's not adequate enough. Okay. I have a belief that Trump, oh gosh, this is going to be difficult to convey, Jean Claude, and I don't want to get into a big rumble here, but I think on matters for finance and economics, I don't think Trump is that bright. I don't think he knows what the hell he's doing. He talks about, well, we're going to fix the government debt. We're going to manage the default. Well, this is a very delicate point. If you promise, like Judy Shelton says, to have the new bonds being gold redeemable in the
Mhm.
future, then you're going to have a lot of pressure to have them gold redeemable at least like 70% in the past. You can't pull the switch. Okay, this is a very delicate problem. I've been saying in my newsletter, this is not fixable. We have to go through a default. We have to maybe go through a very difficult year or two. And it's not going to be simple. You're not just going to be able to flip the switch and say, all right, we got a better dollar now. What about all the central banks that are holding the remainder of $7 trillion?
Hmm.
What are you going to do with them? What, you're not going to make them gold redeemable? Maybe there's a plan to do that and to screw just the U.S. pension holders. Are you aware that pension holders and corporate treasuries and pension funds, insurance funds, and corporate treasuries, they're all required to buy treasury bonds? They're
Yeah.
all required to hold a share. Okay. In other words, they're lashing the entire financial sector together, just like they did in 2000 and what was it, 2010. They said we're going to lash together all the big banks so that they all carry some of the load for derivatives. Well, are we going to pay gold for treasury bond debt to our citizens and not to foreigners? Or are we going to preserve our import supply by paying the foreigners the gold? Or are we going to do nothing and just back our dollar with the military, which is what we've been doing for the last 25 years?
Right.
Okay, I think Trump has been told you're going to have to do a power play and threaten them to dissolve the BRICS. If they accept the Treasury bill for payment in trade, like for oil or what the hell do we export? Almost nothing. What do we import? Almost
Everything.
everything. So
Yeah.
we've got to pay. We've got to pay. You cannot tell countries, we've got treasury bills to pay you. We have become a pariah in the global community of nations. And the joke is, and it's an insult more than a joke. The United States pays with fraudulent debt paper for all their finished products. And we've been doing it for 30 years. And we've been exporting war.
Yeah.
So
And,
the two principal items that we export, Jean-Claude, are fraudulent bonds and war. And Trump cannot turn that around right away. Has he mentioned anything in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, about steps to reindustrialize the nation? No, he's only talked about tariffs. He's
yeah.
threatened Mexico with tariffs, and that's the
Canada.
only threat that actually worked because the military is in a position to stop the caravan of migrants. What
Yeah,
are we going to do? We're going to bring
the
back
president
all.
met with him at Mar-a-Lago just last week and promised to stop the people crossing the border. This is presumably why Trudeau was also summoned to Mar-a-Lago, again on the terrorist front here coming through Canada's border. Although here on CTV News yesterday, our mainstream news is saying that Trudeau and his lackeys there are going to be fighting Trump on this currency war here, and people are asking, "Oh wow, that's going to end well for Canada," but it appears to be a huge shit show to say the least here. Now, I'm concerned because in the last number of months, we've been trying to be, again, cautiously optimistic with the election, with the promises made, but we understand that the problems that have been here since 2008 have not been addressed. You've been on the show many times over the last number of 5 years to suggest that the problems are probably 10 times, maybe 100 times worse
10
than
times worse.
right. Than 2008. If you look at the unrealized losses at the banking level, they're at least 7, maybe 12 times worse than were in 2008. None of this has been addressed, right? And so we were hoping to see an action plan to go in that direction. During the campaign, Trump talked about a golden era, suggesting perhaps that gold was included somewhere. But then again, he was saying drill, baby, drill, that we would get into this uh, I forget the word he used, but basically re-energize the United States here with a petroleum-based economy. Now, we've made moves with Canada here to maybe restart the Keystone XL pipeline, but that still doesn't solve the problem on the international trade front, where half the planet is saying right now, fuck you, this far no further. We're done playing with the US dollar, and they've moved so far away to the point where you and I have been recording in the last couple of years that they're gaining this escape momentum or this velocity here into all of these new systems. Now, to try to bring him back at this point with this type of tactic seems to me too stupid to be stupid. So let's go back to one of your statements about you don't think Trump is being very smart here with this particular tactic. Now, listen, I don't think for a moment that Trump is not or that Trump is an idiot. He's a brilliant man. He's a self-made a billionaire. He got there using presumably a lot of this intelligence and a lot of great strategies throughout his lifetime. So what we're seeing here now, is it a ruse for something else? Is it a mistake? Is it because he's got his hands cuffed behind his back? Certainly right now, maybe being attached to some of his donors of the campaign. Like, I'm trying to make out like what the fuck is happening right now? Where are we going with this? And it's a very difficult conversation because as soon as you mention that perhaps Trump is not going to fulfill his promises in the campaign, we have 99% of the audience members here very fucking pissed off because they've lived the lies of the last 4 years administration, and they were hoping now to get to reality, to get to justice, to get to a better economic system for themselves. And that's not what we're seeing right now. It seems that we're going in the opposite direction, perhaps with this currency war. Again, like let's try to decode that together. What strategy might he be playing here to? Is he okay? Here's an example. Bear with me for a moment. During the COVID scenario, when he pushed out Operation Warp Speed, a lot of people were angry at him. How dare you? How dare Mr. Trump push us to take the vaccine? He's going to kill a bunch of people with vaccine. And some analysts suggested that he was doing so as a strategy. It looked stupid at the time, but maybe his strategy was to force their hand to reduce the amount of time where these vaccine companies could create their vaccines and enforce lockdowns and eventually get the truth out, right? So reducing the number of deaths across the world by still sacrificing a part of it. This is what a general does in an act of war. Is he right now accelerating the death of the old dollar by creating this tactic right now of tariffs on other countries in order to get to that other part that we want to get to, whether that's gold back, crypto back, or whoever else knows what kind of system can be behind the scene for all of this? What do you think, Jim?
Well, that's about 18 questions in there. I'll I'll just I'll just get the kind of order that I can manage.
Yeah.
Um, Trump might have no options. I like to explain to certain clients who I'm more close with. I've got 20 or 30 clients who are in contact with me mostly every day. Trump is going to bring about justice, law enforcement, protecting the borders. That has nothing to do with the economy,
Yeah.
nothing to do with financial reform, nothing to do with the gold-backed currency, nothing to do with reindustrializing. He has been focusing on what he can do quickly, and that's fix the border, deport I call them migrant trash. I think we got the worst of the worst for the migrants. These are not people seeking asylum. These are people seeking liberty to create mayhem. We're going to get justice for treason. I think his first order of business is not to manage the dollar. I think it's to clean up the FBI.
Well,
I think it's to
With
get the
Kash Patel,
treason.
the nomination there, I think
Yeah,
it's going to be
yeah,
absolutely crazy.
yeah,
And going to
yeah.
that too, he's promised to put out the Epstein list. He's promised to put out the Diddy list. He's already made moves on the border, hiring these new border agents, giving
These
them
are
promotions.
justice.
Like,
They're not
right,
economics.
right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
He has no options on economics. We don't have the industry and we don't have a payment system. We can't, what are we going to do? Say, we're going to create or we're going to abide by your unit. We're your unit, and we're going to make a gold backing to the unit, and we're going to use your unit for the BRICS. They're not going to do that. That'll be endorsing the whole BRICS union. Okay, he's got three problems. I wrote them down. He's got the campaign. That's over with. He doesn't have to please the people anymore. Remember, Bill Clinton said he's not going to raise taxes. He raised taxes within 6 months and broke his promise. Trump is going to break some promises because he's a politician. And you give him a lot more credit for being brilliant than I do. I think he's a smart guy. I don't think he's smarter than I am. Okay, let me just say that right out. He did not earn a doctorate. He got bailed out 3 times by the Rothschild bankers. He's got more bankruptcies than anybody I know. Okay. Okay. So he's in the worst. Second thing, the campaign's over. Second thing, he's in a worse situation than he ever thought because he now has access to the books. He has access to options that he can play and realize that it's kind of an empty option. And the third thing, Jean-Claude, we should never leave this out. He is beholden to the warriors. He is beholden to the AIPAC. He is beholden. He has never criticized the Gaza genocide. Never. I've been watching. Are you going to, Donald? Are you going to? No, never has.
He's
Never
remained silent on
acknowledged. In fact,
that until this week. He said, "Hey, those hostages need to be released by whatever date, or they'll be held to pay." So before inauguration,
no, that's not talking about Gaza. That's not Gaza.
What are you talking about?
That's Hamas.
Okay.
That's Hamas. I believe the Israeli military has full control of Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the hostage taking. Israel did the hostage taking of Israeli soldiers.
No,
that needs to get through.
I understand. We're on the same page, but what I'm saying is, for the public at large,
fine.
He's now made that first announcement that these, without playing who's playing behind the scenes and who's beholden to who. This is the first kind of announcement on subject he's really made here in the last couple of months. I agree with you.
Fine. I heard him talk about that a month and a half ago. I'm sorry. He said that Hamas needs to release the prisoners. And I said, You mean the Israeli military?
Right.
They abducted their own to make a false cause for war. And they've killed over, is it 1,000 aid, relief, and hospital workers? Oh my gosh. Okay. I have left this alone during the entire campaign, and I'd like to just leave it alone because I brought up I want to leave it alone. I brought it up and I want to walk away. He got the campaign, it's done. He's got a worse situation than he realized. And he's got an obligation to the warriors to continue the war and to fool the American people into thinking that he's a peacenik. He's going to fix the Ukrainian war. And already that little gay dancer, narco, cokehead, what's his name?
Zelensky.
Zavusky. Yeah, Zelensky. I know his name. I'm just having fun.
Right.
Zelensky is going to give up a lot of land. And when we hear that article, Zelensky going to cede a lot of land in order to have peace. He's going to cede it to the cabal. He's going to cede it to BlackRock.
Yeah.
Okay, this is very ugly. Nothing will change underground with the trafficking. And a lot of it is funded by the U.S. military. Okay, we need to get through our heads that the United States has got its hands dirty underground in Ukraine. And I really don't care to talk much about that. I'd like to talk about options that he has for the U.S. government debt. Now, here the irony is that
Reggie Middleton,
Elon and Vivek.
Yeah,
Reggie Middleton needs to get all these obstructions over with and allow him to sue the Biden show who was doing this. I helped raise some money, by the way, for Reggie, and I think it was a September newsletter. I just said, click here to help Reggie. I only did it 1 month. I'm in a terrible situation myself. Okay, there are not very many options for the United States government regarding the debt. Now, let me raise a couple of options.
Well, hold on. Okay, hold on. Because we have a 40-minute timestamp on this video on my Zoom account here. We're almost done. We have 2 minutes left. So we're going to break down here. I'm going to send you another link, and we'll do a part 2 here in just a second, so we're not interrupted here in your options moving forward. One of the options that you want to talk about, Jim, is this idea of unleashing technology, and more to the point, perhaps zero-point energy, ZPT. So, and how this, and funnily enough, Trump kind of alluded to that in his interview with Joe Rogan. He talked about his uncle, who was at the Office of Alien Property, who had seized the documents from Tesla. So suggesting that there could be technology at play. And this is where humanity is going, but it appears that the warmongers, as you're saying now, are holding us back maybe another 100 years here in this petroleum-based debt slavery model. And this is very much the fight that we are all fighting now. So guys, stay tuned for just a moment here. We're going to reboot and start part 2 in just 1 moment.
It's Andy Schechtman here. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. As a special thank you to the Beyond Mystic audience, I'm pleased to announce that we'll be offering junk silver pre-1965